Hello everybody, Buddy with Midland, Texas. I'm going to do a real interesting video for you tonight about the Hailey Dunn murder. And what I want to tell you, I've kept this I guess secret for a long time. You know that they charged Shawn Adkins, the boyfriend of the mother, with murder, and then they indicted him, and they're doing all this. Well, after they did that, I sent registered letters to Shawn, to the Mitchell County DA's office, to the FBI, to the Texas Rangers, to Attorney General Paxton, the U.S. Attorney General. It cost me $90. Okay, and I'm going to read you the letter that I sent to them, and I've never posted that online tonight. And so this is what they all got, and it's just been hidden from the news and the press and everything. I'm going to start this video though right here, because this is how it started. Was tonight I posted this meme that says one of the most cowardly things ordinary people do is to shut their eyes to the facts. C.S. Lewis. Okay, and then out here at the top, I said, do you think it's an accident that Google Maps was showing a large bunker in my backyard after multiple people have said that underground homes are here? Of course not. And they did murder a girl there at an underground oil show party in 2010. You think it's an accident that 11 police were caught on camera at my home covering up a premeditated capital attempted murder, and it took 6 years and a $2,000 reward to get them identified? Of course not. Do you think 10 people accidentally said that Hailey Dunn was killed in Odessa with who, where, and how? And they've got some guy charged over there that nobody said was even there? I can keep on going, but the truth is the facts are here. Either we're okay with these crimes and murders against innocent people, or we're not. And so that was my Facebook post, and then I followed it up, with some comments there. You can bet this is one of the 4 underground homes, and and I showed the Google Earth maps here showing the bunker in my backyard, and showed the Crime Stoppers tip for the 14 to 21-year-old girl that was found outside of Midland in 2013. Remember, my friend Angie, 5 minutes from my home, told me about a young girl was murdered at an oil show party, obviously in the underground homes. Obviously one of them's in my backyard. Do you think the upholders of the law didn't know there was a $2,000 reward offered for their identity when there was YouTube videos with thousands of views showing them covering up a murder attempt? Of course they knew. They were hiding like coward criminals. Why didn't they come forth, and just collect the $2,000 themselves? Go, oh, that was me in your house, buddy. No, they were hiding is what they were doing. It took 6 years and a private investigator and $2,000 reward. I had to save up disability money to get them identified, caught in my house after a premeditated capital attempted murder. And there's their names, folks. We all know their names. Have you heard from one of them, right? I mean, it's just lawlessness is what it is. Absolute, bold, in your face lawlessness. We're going to murder you in your house. What you going to do about it? The press will hide it for us, I mean, that's literally what it is. 10 people documented saying Hailey was killed in Odessa with who, where, and how, which has been hidden from the public. And then they got a guy charged with murder who none of these people said was even there. And I put a link to this video. Okay, well, that's when I started getting replies, and so I'm going to jump over here because I made this a main Facebook post. Okay, this is what this video is about, the Hailey Dunn murder. I said this was a conversation posted earlier. I had to break it up into parts because it's so long. It's going to be a long read. If you want to know what really happened to Hailey, then this will tell you. Okay, so I'm commenting. I said 10 people documented, and that's what I just read you. Well, then Brad Richard, this Facebook friend, he comments, says, "You, sir, are wrong on the Hailey Dunn. She was murdered in Scurry County by her mom's boyfriend. I back a lot of what you say and follow up until this point." And I replied and I said, "And why are you so sure about that? I have information that wasn't in the news and lots of it. In fact, after they charged Shawn with murder, I sent registered letters to him, the Mitchell County DA, Texas Rangers, the Texas Attorney General Paxton, the Texas Attorney General, the U.S. Attorney General, and detailing the 10 people who I've documented saying what did happen to Hailey." And that was word for word. That's what we're going to read. This is one of the 10 people who was recorded. I consider this called the tell-all. And the video I put there is called Another Tell of Why and Where, but Mostly Who. And that's a Hailey Dunn blogger, Angelina Mitchell, talking to Allison Frazier. And it is the tell-all as far as I'm concerned. Brad Richard says, "Here's the reason, because I know him personally as well. He's from Snyder. So if you're from Snyder, I guess you're a murderer." That's the only thing I'd figure out. But, here we're gonna jump down into this, into the comments here. Where are the comments? Okay. Well, they ain't there, so we'll go down to here. Okay, because I know him personally as where he's from, which is Snyder, Texas. Okay. I said here, Brad Richard, I said this was in the letters I sent. On March 14, 2013, I wrote the Department of Justice, and I suggested they send somebody here to find the underground homes and look for clues for Hailey Dunn. 2 days later, her remains were found in Scurry County by Curtis Lloyd. She'd been missing for over 2 years, and as soon as I write them, poof, they find her. I have a copy of this time-stamped email. Okay. If this isn't suspicious enough, I've now documented about 10 people saying that Hailey was killed in Odessa, and that includes who, where, and how. Myself and many others believe that Hailey was moved from Odessa to Scurry County. Interestingly, one of the other 50 homes that I've documented where the owners were reporting people in the attic was at 2505 Dartmouth, Midland, Texas. I've suspected that each of these rigged homes has a tunnel going from a neighbor's house, and I noticed that the next door neighbor to that home was the parents of Curtis Lloyd, the guy that found the remains of Hailey, 2 days after I wrote the Department of Justice. My guess is that he grew up there. This made me suspect that he's a part of the crime ring, and he was somehow chosen to go find Hailey's remains after I wrote the Department of Justice. Other people had told me the area where she was found had already been searched. Okay, and so that was the first section there, and there I have the letter, posted showing that. 2 different people told me that Billie was a stripper around the time that Hailey was reported missing, and one of those people told me that she was taking Hailey to the strip clubs with her. Did you read that in the news, folks? No, they hid that from you. One of them was an admin for the Hope for Hailey Facebook group named Stacy, and the other one was Janice Freeman Driver, who said, "Buddy, I heard about that. I heard about Billie stripping from a reliable source, and that Hailey was going with her as well, but staying in the dressing room while Billie Dunn worked the pole." The stripper pole. It makes sense that all of the strippers in the area were at the oil show parties, so I've suspected that Billie and or Hailey were at the underground oil show parties in October 2010. That would place them in my backyard 2 months before she was reported missing. It would also make sense the wealthy and powerful people at those underground oil show parties don't want anybody to find out this now famous missing murdered child was there with them. I've suspected that was the root cause of the blatant cover-up going on for her murder, but also the murder of the young girl at the oil show party and the previous owner of my home that died the week before the 2008 oil show started. I have these screenshots for proof. Remember who all this went to? The U.S. Attorney General, the DA, the Mitchell DA, Shawn, okay, all of this. So all of this can be called up into court, okay, as evidence. Anyway, I started making YouTube videos to call attention to the crimes here, and I have over 30 videos about Hailey, but that is a side story to my case. My YouTube channel now has over 1,000 fact-filled videos and over 1 million views. I don't make money off this channel, and my goal is for the truth to come out. Okay. I made a video called Tunnels and Crimes, Midland, Texas, Part 3, where I told the story about writing the DOJ and Hailey Dunn. A drug rehab counselor named Christy Ott-Smith contacted me after watching this video, and she said, "I received Hailey's Dunn murder confession in June 2015. Since reporting it, my life has gone upside down. I went from a successful college graduate in psychology with a decent social life and wonderful children to someone who people think are crazy. No longer have my children, no job, and I'm losing everything down to my house and my car." Okay, I have the print screen where Christy wrote that to me on my YouTube channel. Christy then contacts me on Facebook Messenger using a fake name called Allison Mack, but it was Christy Ott-Smith. She wrote me and said, "The guy, Brett Bushman, said she, Hailey Dunn, was traded by her mother for a drug balance of $135 worth of meth." Okay, I'm going to scroll up. "While she was in the care of the dealer," okay, "she flipped out and they shot her up with something. She overdosed and died. The guy who confessed to me said he took her to her mother and they stuffed her in a box. He described the way they had to bend her and break her to fit. They then buried her on a ranch outside of Odessa. This was dated on February 24, 2016. She also sends me several emails, and this is where she tells me the guy's name is Brett Bushman, who she was calling BB. It is unknown if he is related to the super wealthy Bushman family in Odessa that owns the mall, CBS 7, MCM Elegante, A1 Mobile Homes, etc. Christy takes a picture of her computer screen showing me an email that she was sending to Julia Elliott and Janie Tippett. She copied a woman named Ramona Thomas on this and attached a document named Christy Smith Resignation. This was to her supervisors at Turning Point. In her letter to them, she says, in part, since he, Brett Bushman, did have a hand in stuffing a child's body inside of a safe, Hailey Dunn, he inflicted harm on a child and technically should be reported. She also said, being that this meeting took place less than 48 hours from his confession of the involvement in 3 separate homicides, one of which being the son of Glenn, our counselor, this makes me uncomfortable and a bit concerned for myself as well as my children concerning his organizational affiliation. I took that to mean as in gang member. Okay. I remembered. Yeah, I'm going to work on that. I remember that Newswest 9 had done a story in 2012 and reported that Sonia Callahan wrote a letter from Odessa jail claiming she saw a young girl who matched Hailey Dunn's description. Okay. In the letter, she claims the girl was held against her will and drugged in Odessa home. She wrote that the girl eventually died of an overdose. This alleged incident was all sparked from a dope deal that went horribly wrong, and Hailey was supposedly used as collateral for a drug debt the teen's family owed. That was the same thing that Christy told me. You can Google that and find that Newswest 9 article right now. This was the same thing that Christy had told me, so I made my first Hailey Dunn video called Hailey Dunn Murder Confession. I compared Christy's story to the Newswest 9 story side by side, and it went viral, and you can see why it went viral. Okay, due to the attention of that video, a lot of people were talking about Hailey Dunn, and a woman named Taryn Thomas wrote on my Facebook wall. Taryn said they had Hailey for a good while. Hailey knew who had her, and it wasn't a hostage situation. People said that they had heard people had gone to the house while she was there, and she was walking around like it was her house. While she walking around, but what was weird is I heard from more than 10 people that they shaved her head like 2 weeks before she supposedly overdosed. Why shave her head if you aren't trying to hide her? Now, supposedly she was buried in that same house's backyard. I have a print screen of this comment from Facebook from Taryn Thomas. Now that's 3 people that are documented saying Hailey was killed in Odessa. A private investigator from Houston named Brenda Paradise had told me about a month earlier that no hair was found on the remains, which seemed to confirm the head shaving story. I have a print screen for this. Allison Fraser Aldana later told me that she saw Hailey before she died and her head had been shaved. I believe she said she was wearing a pink bandana. How you like that little detail? Okay. Here's the next section. I had to break it up because it's so big. Okay. It was around that time when Hailey Dunn blogger Angelina Mitchell wrote on my Facebook wall and said Hailey was killed with a shot of heroin. I don't know how she knew this, but it seemed important that she called out the specific drug that killed Hailey. I have a print screen for this. Okay. Michael Morales wrote me on Facebook Messenger and said, I was told she was pimped out to her father's oil-filled friends. I was told that the father would get up to $500. I wondered if this happened at the underground oil show parties. I suspected that Clint hasn't been entirely truthful. I also got a call from I have the print screen of that showing that. I also got a call from Sonia Renee Callahan in 2016, the woman that Newswest 9 wrote about in 2012. We read it a minute ago, which I secretly recorded, and she said, I was there at the house and I seen her, Hailey Dunn, and my heart just went down to the floor. It's either mine in her life or mine. She told me that on the phone. She had witnessed Hailey dying and described it to me. At the end of this call, she said, I'm going to name some names off and you tell me yes or no. Joe Corp, David Allison, Casey Frazee, Kevin Rickman, Dustin Braddock, David Parker, Brooke Letty, Billy Phelps, and Max Mays. This phone call is on a YouTube video called Child Killers. Okay. A woman named Brandy Dunn contacted me on Facebook, and she said there's a video of it and the cops have it. And I said, there's a video of what? Hailey's murder? And Brandy said, yes, it was the video of Cody Mercer's murder. The cops have both. Another woman named Jessica Lee Hadley wrote me and said, a boy named Cody, and he was abducted and tied up, beaten, savagely raped by 4 individuals belonging to a certain gang in Odessa. And I said, it sounds like you're talking about Cody Mercer. And this woman named Brandy Dunn said that the same people who murdered Hailey Dunn had also killed him. She also said there was a video of it and the cops have it. And Jessica says, yes, that's correct. They videotaped the whole thing. It is disgusting, and it's absolutely true. I have the print screens to these conversations for proof. Allison Frazier told me that she saw the video of Cody Mercer being murdered, and she also said the cops have the videos. That's 3 people telling me about them videos for the Hailey Dunn murder. Okay. I was then told about a phone call posted on Blog Talk Radio by Hailey Dunn blogger named Angelina Mitchell, which was a recorded call between her and Allison Frazier. This now deleted phone call is the tell-all about what happened to Hailey Dunn. That was what was posted earlier. I made a copy of it before it was deleted. Allison has a baby with Kevin Rickman, an Aryan gang member that I believe is doing life in prison for the murder of Stoker. She has another child with Casey Frazee, another gang member. In this call, Allison said in part, Bertie, was crying and telling me that he needed me to know. Okay, he dropped down on his knees and he was crying, and he said that there were these people that owed him some money and he had to take care of it. Hailey was still missing at the time and she wasn't dead yet. They had got Hailey for a drug deal like a debt. The mom and the boyfriend knew that was going to happen, and Bertie was like, I'll take care of her for a couple of days, pimp her out, and get my money back, and that's what he did. He was telling me that he kidnapped Hailey, him, Bertie, Plastic, Hamby, and somebody else. It was Dustin, Braddock, Joe Cross, Kevin Rickman, David Allison, David Parker. All of these people are Bertie's friends, his bros, and they all got off on meth. They kidnapped Hailey and pimped her out in Odessa and Midland for a long time. Bertie and David Allison showed me pictures of Hailey like chilling with Dustin. They kept her in a couple of different places. They kept her in David Allison's house, but David doesn't have that house no more. The body was also in Jackie Thompson's backyard. Jackie Thompson was the police officer in Odessa. He got arrested a few years back on dope charges. That's all. She said that on that phone call. This phone call is on my YouTube channel, and it's called Another Tale of Why and Where, but mostly Who. Like I said, it was recorded by Angelina Mitchell and posted to Blog Talk Radio. Okay, it's the tell-all. And it's one more person saying what happened to Hailey with many details. Okay, she's killed over in Odessa. I think I recorded another phone call with a woman named Anonymous that I've kept anonymous because she's afraid of these people. She, in part, Joe Paul Van Zant, cried and told me about Hailey. I'm quoting this again. She, in part, said, Joe Paul Van Zant cried and told me that Hailey, I have a conscience that some bitch needs to be got. And he's referring to Max Mays. That sumbitch needs to die. And he had already been in prison for murder, but it was in self-defense. Van Sant came when I was staying at Jenny's, and he came to me and said, I have a conscience. I know that I'm going to have to answer for this, and I haven't done anything. He, Van Sant, said about Hailey's Dunn murder. He, Van Sant, said that Max is the one that did it for Letty because the mama owed $130. And remember, the other one said $135. So there we got a little difference in how much by $5. But I, Van Zant, was there, and I haven't said anything. I can tell you that Letty, I lived in Big Springs, and she's a big-time lady. And Letty made it very clear to these guys that she was tired of people taking advantage of her, and that this murder of Hailey would be example of what would happen to these sons of bitches if they didn't come up with some money. And I'm talking about Hailey. Over $130 that girl was killed, so the word would get out that all you son of a bitches, if I'm gonna do for $130 and it's gonna be a woman's daughter, don't think you won't be had for the $5,000 you owe me or how much everybody owes. I asked her, who all did you hear was there? She said Casey Frazee, Dustin Braddock, David Allison, Max Mays. Do you notice how the same names keep coming up from different people? Okay. Here, let me say that. And she says, you see Dustin Braddock is first in charge, and then Casey Frazee, Aryan Brotherhood, that's the name of the gang. And it says, I don't know if Letty was there or not. Talking about the murder of Hailey. I know that Paul Van Zant, when he talked to me at Jenny's, he was crying. Van Zant said, asked Anonymous, when I have to stand in front of God, do you think he's going to forgive me? And I said, do you have anything to do with it, Joe Paul? And he said, no, but I was there and I could have stopped it. And I said, how could you have stopped it? He said, I could have shot the son of a bitch, and I'm going to do it before it's all over. And he's talking about Max Mays. This is eating him up inside because apparently he witnessed everything that happened. Told me that her and Joe Paul went and talked to Ector County law enforcement about this. So that's what the anonymous said. They went to law enforcement. It's on the books that they told them this. I have this phone call for proof. I have the recordings, but a part of it is in the video called Hailey Dunn Killed Over a Family Drug Debt. You can listen to parts of it in that video that I posted in the public. And that's what I just quoted. I have a young neighbor named Anonymous, who I've also kept anonymous because she's scared of these people, rightfully so. And she told me that her aunt got an email from, I believe, Courtney McDuffie. Her boyfriend, C.J. Haynes, was also at the Odessa home where Hailey had been killed at. I sent his picture to Allison, and she said he was there too. I have the print screens for this. Remember, this is all going to law enforcement, to the District County DA, all these people, Attorney General, the U.S. Attorney General, the Texas Rangers, the FBI. I also spoke to another woman named Raina Brott, who told me that she believed Hailey was killed at her home at 6619 Cloudcroft in Odessa while she was gone. She believed that Billie Dunn had given Hailey the hot shot and even described a place where she'd been buried. She was afraid for her life and made me promise to not share what she told me in public. I emailed copies of this conversation to Midland Chief of Police Seth Herman, who thanked me and then blocked my emails. 6 months later, Raina was dead. I then released the video called Hailey Dunn Witness is Now Dead. See, I kept all that information quiet until I found out she was dead, but I sent them print screens over to Seth Herman, our Midland Chief of Police. A woman named Tisha Wilkinson Brumley told me that her niece lived down the street from Rainer and that she saw Hailey twice before she died. I believe that one time was at Rainer's house and another time at the home of Jackie Thompson. She said that she went back to the house and they told her Hailey had been put in the septic tank. This girl was running with that gang crowd and doing drugs. She is now scared for her life. I put this in the video called Hailey Dunn was put in a septic tank. Okay, and I want to mention that this house, 6619 Cloudcroft, I was told it got burned down. Now, ain't that a kawinky dinky? And here's the last beat here. I've long suspected that private investigator Erica Morse, that works for Clint, was trying to mislead the public about this case. And I have a print screen from a woman named Becca Miles who posted on Facebook saying that Erica was a swinger. I thought that was important because I suspected that swingers were using the underground homes here in Midland and maybe at the underground old show parties. Erica made a podcast one time where she said there was just a lot of deviancy going on under that house and a lot of deviancy and drug use. And then she corrected herself, says, under that rug. This made me suspect that she knew what was going on under my house at those parties that I suspected Billie and Hailey were at. You can hear her saying that in the video, Freudian slip, on my YouTube channel. Okay, so keep in mind, all of that was emailed over to everybody I read to you there, to the to Shawn himself, to the Mitchell County DA that's charging him with murder. See, what they're saying is that Shawn bashed in the head of Hailey. And it's like all these people are saying she was overdosed. Multiple people naming who, where, how, what kind of drug, what she was wearing, all these details. I mean, people that I've talked to Hailey. They told me they talked to her, I mean, and these calls are recorded. It's not Buddy said they said. We got recordings, screenshots, emails. This is just absolutely ridiculous. They're and this is a death penalty case, I would think, and as far as none of them people said that Shawn was there. I'm not trying to take up for Shawn. I got a feeling he knew where Hailey was at. He was probably doing the meth, the $130 worth of meth with the mother, that was owed for the drug debt and all that. But I don't think he was there. And there was other people there. And this ain't right what's going on. And just like what's going on here in Midland in these underground homes, and that's why. And why do I think that's going on is because I suspect that Billie and Hailey were at the old show parties, okay? And there's a reason I believe that, okay? is because she was a stripper, and it makes sense. All the strippers were working at the oil show parties. That would put Billie at the oil show parties in my backyard. And said she was taking her to the strip clubs with her. That would put Billie and Haley. And I got a feeling that the important people and rich people at those oil show parties, along with the police that Angie said was there, remember a young girl was murdered at those parties, don't want the public to find out this 13-year-old missing, murdered, now famous Texas cheerleader, it was there with them. And so there you got the rest of the story about Hailey Dunn, okay? And so that's the facts, folks. Let's see if the press will report it. Talk to you later.